Yeah, I guess it's not so good to be one of the last speakers, but I'll try to excite you, and I'll try to tell you some things you may or may not know about Israel. My name is Ilan Alon. I'm the Dean of the School of Economics, College of Management in Rishon. And I spoke earlier, and you might have heard that one of the innovations that we're going to have is we're going to offer a new course, a new major in crypto economics. And we're going to offer degrees as NFT, or really soul-bound tokens. And Israel, of course, is a very interesting country. Probably most of you know that Israel is the startup nation. There's been books about it. But probably many of you don't know why Israel is a startup nation. So I'll talk a little bit about it. Today is also quite a sad day because Israel went into war, and unfortunately many people, innocent people, were murdered today. And I think you could see the horrible YouTube videos about what is happening on the ground. But part of the reason that Israel is so strong is because Israel is constantly under attack. And when you're constantly under attack, you have to be alert, and you have to be cutting edge, and you have to be innovative, and you need to always be one step ahead. So as sad as it might be, this is part of the reason that Israel is a startup nation, and I'll talk about that in more detail. Today I want to speak, and I understood I only have 15 minutes because all of you want to get to the after party, I guess, and to see the rest of the speakers. So Israel, I'll talk about just these 5 points. Israel, startup nation. I'll talk about the crypto industry around the world, the crypto industry in Israel. I'll also make some comparison to Georgia. And I have to say, I'm very thankful for being here because I had a chance to get to know a little bit more about the crypto industry in Georgia and the possibilities to work together, which I hope we could do. And what can we learn from all this? So this is it. So first about the startup nation, why Israel is a startup nation. And there are many reasons. One of them is a culture. Is a term called chutzpah in Hebrew. It means audacity, right? It's the right to challenge authority, the right to challenge conventions. And Israelis are quite good at that. It has a bad element, but it also has a good element when it comes to entrepreneurship. And so you have a very entrepreneurial and a very educated workforce. Israel has probably the most PhDs per capita than any other country in the world. By the way, partly because of the ex-Soviet Union immigrants that came and really brought up the PhDs and the master's degrees in the population. Government has also made some good moves with respect to the IT sector by providing financial incentives, by providing platforms for VCs to work. Israel military-industrial complex trains thousands of people in high technology skills, computer science, and these people, especially the ones that go to elite units in Israeli intelligence, they tend to then go out of the army and start businesses in the high-tech sector. We even have accelerators and all sort of support systems to help these individuals, highly skilled individuals, start businesses. And then, of course, research and development is quite big, and Israel has also established a lot of VC, and many VCs are Israelis, and others are from other countries who want to take advantage of Israeli startup nation companies. So if you look at, and I'm not going to go into details, the political, economic, and social environment for crypto and for high tech, in general, I would say it's good. But in the field of crypto, it's not so good. And the biggest problem in Israel is the banking sector. If you want to take out money in Israel, the bank asks you what you need the money for, and you need to give them an explanation. And if you deposit $5,000 or more to the Israeli bank from an outside bank, then you need the bank teller will call you and will ask you for an explanation about the sources of the money and whether you pay tax on it. So the banking sector is so bad that some crypto firms wanted to pay tax to the IRS, to the Internal Revenue Service in Israel, and they couldn't transfer the money they had to pay tax back to Israel. By the way, I should say, many of the Israeli companies, because of regulatory restrictions, are actually overseas, and maybe some of them should be in Georgia based on some of the discussion that I heard today. Okay, so what does this market look like around the world? We have an annual volume of, in Binance alone, of $16 billion. Sorry, a daily volume in the exchange of $16 billion, and Binance is the leader, and you could see the rest of them. Of course, Binance is in a lot of trouble now, and I think a lot of regulators in the West are looking to investigate the operations of Binance. Crypto is the crypto sector at all in general is over $3 trillion, and the kind of VC activities are around 23 billion. And you can see now even non-crypto firms like Starbucks and Gucci getting into blockchain technologies and crypto, which is a very promising point. This is the use of crypto by the number of identified, verified crypto wallets. And you can see from that unfortunately we don't have this kind of exponential growth that we all expected to have in the number of wallets, because still there's a big educational gap. And I think a lot of people, normal, average people, not the people sitting here, just don't know and don't trust this particular sector. If you look at the use of crypto around the world, this is, you could see that active addresses is going up. And in DeFi, it's got its ups and downs. It's not at an all-time high, and it's not at an exponential growth, but it is growing in volume. And if you look, and I think this is maybe the most important, is that the smartest people in the world are coming to this field. And many of the new computer scientists who want to be in innovative sectors, they come into this field. These are the number of developers with the software engineering skills that are going into this. And I personally notice that the people that study this field or are in this field are just a little bit smarter than everybody else. And that includes you, doesn't it? Yeah. Okay, these are, if you think about the distribution of customers around the world, you could see that most of them are still retail. So as I mentioned earlier, the big catalyst for this industry is going to be when the institutional investors are going to come in. They're still not there. They're still a minority, even in the United States, where it's probably the biggest. And in Israel, compared to all the other countries in the Middle East, Israel is not as big as Turkey. Turkey is really the exception for a variety of reasons we won't get into. But Israel is still in the top 10 most important countries in the field of crypto in the world, with around $10 billion in wallets. And if you look at the high-tech industry in general, you could see obviously Israel is very good at it. This is what gave it the startup capital label. You could see that they are, and this is, by the way, statistics just from this year. But you have 6,600 startups, high-tech startups. And Israel is probably number one in GDP spent on R&D. So this story, I think you already know. In 2022 alone, you had 17 IPOs. You have 89 mergers and acquisitions. You have 826 rounds of funding and $15 billion of investment in high tech. And the sectors that are leading are security tech and fintech, and of course crypto is part of it. Israel's growth in crypto compared to other countries is similar. You could see that the adoption rate is increasing, just like in Switzerland, Japan, the UK, United States. But on average, it's developed countries, actually, and not the developing countries that are making a big impact on adoption, those with sophisticated workforce with internet penetration and high GDP per capita. Crypto industry in Israel is now employing as much as 3,800 people, and it's raised $3.8 billion in 10 different fields just this year. And if you're wondering what kind of firms, there's 174 firms in this field in Israel, and I think some of these names you know, but out of these 174, I would say the top 10 are top 10 in the world. So Israel clearly has a comparative and a competitive advantage in the field of crypto. And if you want to know where it's going mostly to blockchain development and tokenization, and then trading and investment and wallets and risk management. And you could read the rest. I'm not going to read you the slide. But if you want to know which crypto firms are most important in terms of just this year, you could see a lot of activities in wallets and payments, followed by NFT tokenization, followed by techs and DeFi. And if you want to see where the money went, again, the money went into wallet and payments, which is really the field of fintech, very, very big in Israel, trading and investment and blockchain development. And some of the firms that specifically had a very successful year, you could look at Fireblocks, which raised 939 million, eToro, 473, Starkware, Bancor is a protocol that you're probably familiar, Solidus Labs, and Securitize, which is really designed to use the tokenization for all sort of products. These are the number of employees, and you can see that the highest number of employees, if you want employment impact from the country point of view, it's really in trading. Countries should encourage trading because there's quite a lot of jobs and quite a lot of opportunities to create employment and GDP. Looking at the workers as a case in point, you can see trading and investment is the highest, followed by blockchain development, and eToro is maybe in the exception in terms of the impact on employment, with almost 1,000 employees in Israel alone. These are some of the other companies that you might be familiar, kind of the leading companies. Starkware is doing a lot of blockchain solutions, has quite 872 billion in trade, and it's very big in the Ethereum network. And Fireblocks, also a company that you probably know, does security. And eToro we talked about. And you could see, as I mentioned, one of the reasons that Israel became a startup nation, it's because of the availability of VC funding. And these are the type of VC funds that are operating in the area of crypto. If you want to get funding, these are where you probably want to start when you make proposals. And we have also non-for-profits who are supporting it. The biggest and most important is the Israeli Bitcoin Association that does also, it had a bar mitzvah for Bitcoin a few years ago, by the way. It was a kind of a wild party. And, but it is engaged in a lot of lobby work and really trying to explain to the government the needs to support this industry, that it is part of Israel high-tech industry and it should be supported like other companies. And what about, everybody talks to you about it, and I think every time I give a lecture in universities, there's also professors that ask me, well, what about the illegal activities? And this is Chainalysis did some analysis, and it looks at the value in millions of USD based in illegal work, whether it's child pornography or tax evasion, or it's broken down. I know you can't see it. But the point is that it's still a tiny little fraction, less than 2% of the total activities and trade and transactions in crypto. In fact, compared to cash, it's way safer and more traceable than other financial systems. So I think we should encourage people rather than discourage them if we want to stop illegal activities. All right, this brings me kind of to the end because I was given a short period of time. When we compare Israel and Georgia, it's really two very different countries. Both of them are small, population-wise. Israel is wealthier. The economic malaise in Israel is better than in Georgia in terms of the statistics. The venture capital investment is much smaller. The R&D spending as part of the GDP is much smaller. The number of patents filed is much smaller. So the countries have already quite a lot of collaboration, as I could see in the field of crypto. Even though what you'll see is that at least the average IT salary is less than half of what it is in Israel. So then the question is, well, how can Georgia and Israel work together? Which is, I think, what people here might be interested in. And I think that Israel is a leader in high tech. It's a leader in the crypto industry. It has a vibrant startup scene. It has all the ingredients for success. But it's a very expensive country. It's probably one of the most expensive. It's recently, Tel Aviv took the most expensive city in the world. They even overtaken Tokyo, and as a country, we took Norway and Switzerland. Not something to be proud of, actually, because it's just extremely expensive to live there. And Georgia, on the other hand, is a place that has additional, I would say, quite high growth of the high-tech sector, about 20% a year. And given that Georgia's costs and regulatory environment, I think, is more friendly, and the costs are lower, I think there's opportunities for collaboration in crypto company development between Georgia and Israel. Both countries have their advantages and disadvantages, and I think we can work together and have success together. Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you.